Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. It's always kind of interesting to see the paperwork from Rolex in other countries. And what this is a service quote for my 16600 40mm preceramic sea dweller from RSC Japan. So you take your watch in, you give it to them, they check it out, and then about a week later you get this. And it comes in an envelope. Again, this is the quote for the Overhaul. You've got the Rolex logo up top. It says Rolex World Service. My information is through this window. I've got it covered up. And then you got this stamp. Cost 94 yen to send. And you've got some cherry blossoms and Mount Fuji. On the other side, you've got logo up top. Rolex Japan Limited. And then the RSC address down below. Now, in the past, they used to send the quote on just one page, and you would get that page, you'd check it out, and you'd call them back and give them the okay or drop by and tell them to proceed. And it was really nice because, again, it was succinct. It was just one page, and it was almost like getting free papers for your watch. But they've changed it a bit, and you can see it's 5 pages now, and you've got something to send back. We'll go over that, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So a lot of paperwork, not as good for the environment, and not as nice and succinct as just having one page with everything about your watch. All right, this is the first page, and up top you've got the Rolex logo. It says Rolex World Service, and then you've got a couple of addresses and phone numbers. This is for Rolex Japan, and I'm pretty sure that's the intermediary between Rolex Geneva and the retail shops. And then here's the address for the service center, and they're in the same building. All right, so right here, my personal information, they print it 2 times, my name and address. I've got that covered up. And this says Mitsumori Show, which means estimate or quote. All right, so let's zoom in a bit. And right here, this says customer number. I've got that covered up because if you work at an RSC anywhere in the world, you can probably find me. And this is the model number of the watch, M16600. That's the 40mm sea dweller. And then the serial number, it's an A serial. And the bracelet number. And this is Mojiban, which means dial. So this is the dial number. Really interesting. It says 16660, which was the model before the 16600, which is what I have. All right, so some kind of interesting information here. Right here, this is what I want done to the watch, an overhaul. And then this is no polishing. And then right here, it talks about the timing of the watch. So it's running plus 6 seconds a day. And this says that I want the timing a little bit more narrow than that. Actually, I want it a hell of a lot more narrow than that, but we'll get to that later. This says bezel disc kokan, so I'm going to have the bezel insert changed out, and I wouldn't have that done if I didn't get the original back, and that's what this is about. This is bezel disc return. So I'm going to get the original bezel back. That's really important. I wouldn't be doing a bezel change if I couldn't get the old one back. But I want a nice fresh one, and I'll tuck away that original one. And this talks about the spring bars, so replacing the spring bars, which I'll put a link in the description. I actually poached the spring bars before taking this in, just to keep them, because I knew they were going to change them anyway. All right, and then right here it says the back case has like a stamp on it, and that's because the watch had been serviced before, and I've actually got footage of the inside of the watch, which I'll put in another video, and that marking, so it had been serviced before. This is ryuz, and that means crown, and the crown has marks on it. All right, and then we get to the cost. All right, and so this is the cost of the overhaul here. It's going to be 70,000 yen. All right, and for the spring bars, it's going to be 400 yen for the spring bars, and they're going to be replacing the crown, which is pretty standard. So that's going to be 5,000 yen. And then the bezel insert, the cost of that is going to be 8,820. And that's with the 40% to get the old one back. So I think it's somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 yen to just buy the new insert, but with the 40%, it makes it this figure. You can see the subtotal, the tax, 10% tax in Japan, and the grand total, which if you live in Japan, this feels like about $1,000, but if you do the conversion, it comes out to 760. So pretty painful, but not quite as painful when you look at it in USD. All right, so, and this is page 1 of 4. So this is page 2, same information up top. If you go down, it talks about how long the service will be, 1 to 2 months. And right here, there's a note. It says, back case no seeru wa hashimasu, and that means they'll take off the back seal, which what they're talking about, link in the description. You can see me do it, but I took off the case back sticker, but there's a lot of residue, and so they're gonna hopefully clean all that residue off. And again, this is page 2 of 4. This is the third page. This is what you send back, and they include this envelope. You can send it back free of charge, and they've got, again, my information under here, and they've also got a QR code here which they can just scan. And right here they have this marked, this is what you want to check, and it just means proceed with the service. If you get the estimate and you don't want to go through with it, you would check this one and just cancel it. And you can see the total right there, and then there's a place for notes, and I'll probably just, reiterate some of the important points, like don't polish it, talk about the timing. I hope to get it +1 a day, something like that, and reiterate that I want the original insert back. And then you date it, put your name there, and send back page 3 of 4. This is the 4th page, and you've got my information up top as always, and then just a little bit of fine print about the after service expectations and just all the legal stuff. And then there's actually one more page, and this just talks about, I guess, the overhaul process and the process of getting the quote and sending it back, and again, more legal stuff. And then on the other side, I guess if you don't know much about watches and they say, well, ryuzu needs to be changed, and you think, what's that? Well, you get on here and you can see that, okay, it's the crown. So an interesting chart here. And that's it. So quite a lot of paperwork, a lot more than in the past, but kind of interesting to see how RSCs in other countries do it. Now, when I get the watch back, hopefully the accuracy is pretty tight. Hopefully it's 0 to +1. And here's the thing. The cost for polishing a watch is included in the overhaul cost. You don't pay any extra. So I feel like I'm paying for something that I'm not getting. That's not the case with Tudor. They charge extra at RSC if you have your Tudor polished. So if I get it back and it's running +4 a day, which is spectacular, well, still, I want it a little bit tighter. So I'll probably take it back and say, look, you guys saved a lot of time by not having to polish the watch. So put that effort into making the timing a little bit tighter. And so maybe that's something to think about. If you have a Rolex watch serviced and you don't have it polished, maybe bring that up and try to leverage that into them giving a little bit more attention to making the watch more accurate. Let me know what you think. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.